Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Aub Wallace. She is the co-founder of Dandelion Branding, and she is a sustainability advocate. Can you say hi, Aub?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me here.
I appreciate it. And what I find very interesting, this podcast is about resilience, being the main point. Obviously, you left the United States to go to the Netherlands. And obviously, my thing is, what prompted you to do that? Obviously, something wasn't going right for you.
Well, I would say it was exactly the opposite. A lot of
Okay.
things were going right for me. I fell in love with a Dutch guy.
Oh,
Um,
there you go.
yeah. And just I didn't want to live without him, I guess. I just like to put it like really intensely. But I was really happy. I had lots of friends, a career, and I was really had never been in a better place. And then I met Tom and we visited each other for a few months. And I just said, yeah, I just want to be where you are. And I just sort of moved here. Yeah.
How long ago was that? How long have you been in the Netherlands?
I moved here at the end of 2018.
Okay, well, you've been there a while. So
Yeah.
I've never visited. My family, my mom's side is from France. I've never visited the Netherlands, but I've been to Europe several times, or like Germany and all that, but never to the
Yeah.
Netherlands. I heard it's a beautiful place.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
And so you work remotely, I'm assuming, or
Mhm. Yes, I do.
and you
And
co-founded it with, where's your co-founder at?
she is still in California, which
Okay.
is why we work remotely. And also, we're a digital marketing agency. So our clients are all over. They're in the US and the UK, even here in the Netherlands.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I think that's cool. Because that's kind
it's
of
a lot
how
of fun.
makes it fun. And I just like what you're doing. I
Mhm.
think you're embracing the technology, right? Even though we had some problems, guys, before we started,
Yeah.
but we made it through. Um, so what got you into sustainability? What prompted you to that? Because that is an important topic.
Yeah.
Very
I
important.
mean, that's a great question. I think it goes back to just my childhood. I've literally always felt like everything on this planet is equal to me and I am equal to it. And then yeah, I love being outside. I love the garden. I love nature. And I moved to California and I worked for an organic skincare company and went to school to be an herbalist and learned really what it means to be a steward of our planet. And I think um, when I look at what's really going on in the world, um, resilience, sustainability, regeneration is the most important thing that everyone can be focused on right now.
For the future, definitely.
Yeah.
It's our actions, correct? That individuals, and we need to be good role models. And I think you and I are
Yeah.
very connected. I like the same thing. That's kind of why I have like a nature's been I always joke, my therapy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. It's I'm not a I like helping people, and I'm sure you do too. But we need to make them make them help them understand why it's important, because people just think short term, I think, right?
Yeah.
And we should.
Are so um myopic. They're so short thinking. They think about today, tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year, but nobody's really thinking like, what does 30 years look like from
Correct.
now? What does 50
Correct.
years look like from now?
Correct.
And what impact can I have on that?
That's true. I mean, that's a really good point. We need to, it's all like a domino effect of our actions, what we're doing
Yeah.
today. And I'm just amazed that, well, I'm glad, not amazed that you're doing something to help. So your sustainability for your Dandelion Branding company, you weave that in with your clients, right? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, so actually, one of the reasons why we have clients all over the place is because we only work with people that are actively making a change, whether that is typically our clients are completely focused on sustainability. So we work with a lot of regenerative farms. We work with brands that are building regenerative products or products focused on biodiversity, or that are building climate tech. So our focus is on really how can we change the world? How can we think about making it better in the future? How can we make sustainability more accessible, bring it more into the mainstream? We also heavily focus on how to make things more sustainable in terms of our digital footprint. So we try hard to build websites with a smaller footprint than a typical site, or like do focus on quality over quantity when it comes to content, and what a holistic, reusable website or reusable content looks like, rather than just throwing things against the wall all the time.
I like that aspect because, yeah, some of the websites are so complicated. It takes up a lot of energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right word. And
Yeah, exactly. It's energy. Every single Google you make, every single thing every time you type online or make a search or look at a website, it has a physical impact on the world. It's not just in the cloud and free. It's not very heavy, but it does have an impact. So if we can reduce that impact, we can make a difference overall.
and as you were talking, it made me think of more people becoming independent from bigger companies, which I think is good. I mean, we need to have different perspectives. The narrative that we're putting out there, and that's what you're helping your clients do. And they
Yeah.
they have this passion to help. Then you're helping them getting the proper message out. That's how.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Folks that are dedicated to sustainability are often not the people that are the loudest in the group. They are not always the best storytellers, or they don't feel like their story is special, because they're just doing something that needs to get done. But the reality is the opposite, right? Is they have oftentimes the most inspiring stories and make the biggest impact. And their stories are the ones worth being told and worth being listened to. So, yeah, we help them make sure that they get their story out there in a really truthful, exciting way that brings in their audience that will help them grow.
That's true. So you help with digital marketing, and that includes obviously social media. What platform do you think is the best? I think in my gut, we need to talk to the younger generation more. Am I wrong?
No, I think that luckily we need to talk. I think we need to talk to every generation.
Right. Okay.
The younger generation, luckily, gets
Understand.
it.
Yeah.
They understand pretty well. Like you can say like sustainability or this has lower impact. Like you can use higher level language with a Gen Z or a younger generation because they've grown up in it and they're seeing impacts every single day. Actually, the older generation that has uh the they still have control over a lot.
That's
Older
a good point.
millennial, Gen X, and Boomer generations, they still have a lot of control, and they don't have the language because sustainability language changes all the time, like all the time.
I think that's like you mentioned, it changes. So it's confusing to the older generation. They're now, it's not instinct to them.
It's not. It's not. And like up until very, very recently, people, I think especially in the United States where independence is such a big value, people were told to just go shop, just go buy random crap, like buy like I
Yes.
remember yeah, I remember the George Bush's big speech when he had when the Twin Towers fell was to just go shop and stimulate the economy. That was the mindset for so, so, so long. And that's been carried forward. It's being taught to our younger generation still, sure. So we do need to disrupt that. But the way to disrupt it is to talk to parents and talk to people who are in charge right now.
That's true. They're the ones that going to influence everything. And they are, I like that. They are in control.
Yeah.
But we need to let them know, remind them your children are going to be here when you're not here. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Look who's inheriting this thing that you've given. Like, look what we're giving to the next generation.
Right. And that's as a mom, my sons are adults now. But yeah, I think about that. And I think I stood out a little bit growing up because I was into the nature and I just connected. I like to look at trees. I like to, and
Yeah.
that's, I mean, because it's calming to me. But I just, maybe it's the female instinct. You have it too. Like we want to make sure everything is okay. and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
The world around us feels okay. And that, for a lot of us, includes the ground we're walking on.
exactly, we wouldn't have our homes without this ground, without the proper environment that we're around for health.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm really lucky because I live in the United States still, just because, I try not to watch the news, but I see things that are going on, right? And
Yeah.
everywhere, we just need to be, I think, for me, being grateful for what I have will help me try to influence the younger generation. Let's keep that and make it better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We need to consistently work on it. And I think, well, we have a podcast too. It's called Environmental with Dandelion. And one of our podcast guests told us everybody that's going to make the biggest difference when it comes to climate change is already alive on this planet. That's us. That's our job. So we need to step up and do it.
And not just talk and just stand back. We need to actually take action. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think would, for your audience, whatever, what would be recommend a step for them to take, or think about one or two steps? What would be, you know, to make that change? Because some people are afraid of change.
I would say that, yeah, that's fair. Um It depends on where they are.
Mhm.
For my audience is often very far in their sustainability journey.
Okay.
Um, I would say that for a typical audience, or I don't know how far in their sustainability journey your audience is, but for a typical audience, just taking stock of how much plastic you have in your kitchen. For a business owner, think about where your supply chain is coming from, and obviously look at things like wages, and like it's
Where it's
sustainability
made.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, where it's made, what it costs, like what you're charging, like those types of things really matter. um I think one of the more important things that gets missed when people think about sustainable living, and then yeah, you can look up any listicle of sustainable living. But what gets missed a lot is the local politics and understanding what's going on in your local area. We get really, really, really into what's happening federally or what's happening in the state, which is, the state is better than federal. Um, a lot of individual people don't have a lot of power federally. Most people don't. Like, you're looking at this oligarchy going, I can't make a difference. But you can make a really big difference in your local space. Um, One example I have in from my own personal life is that I help run a community garden that is 40 years old, that was set up by my city to when we have extra food, we can help feed people at the food bank. That decreases the amount of plastic because it's coming straight from the farm. It decreases how far food has to move because I bike to my farm. I bike to where I get my food. And like not everybody has that. Has it not That's not accessible for everyone, but making choices and learning what is accessible for you and what you can cut out, whether it's plastic or, buying local tomatoes or whatever, reducing your meat consumption if you're eating meat every day. I know that that's really polarizing, but I'm not saying be vegetarian, but I am
Right.
saying look at where it's coming
Beautiful.
from.
Yes.
Yeah. Consider the farms, consider the way that it's grown and made. I'm a big believer in it's the how, not the cow. So,
I
yeah.
like that. I'm totally on the same page with you. I like the way you're explaining it because we need to. I like going local. That's why my gut's always like try to help the local environment rather than me trying to help
Yeah.
people. I live in Georgia. I don't need to be trying to
Okay.
help people in Seattle. You know what I'm saying? Because it's need to work
Yeah.
here, help people here, make a difference. And that's
Yeah.
really good points. I
Hey,
mean, I
if
visit.
you can make a difference in Seattle, great.
Yes,
Awesome. If that's what's accessible to you. But if it's
right.
more accessible to walk over to your courthouse
Yes,
and say, "Hey, I would like this tree is dying. Can we fix that locally?" Or like, "There's a lot of pavement here and I'm wondering if we could turn it into a community garden." Like those local things make the difference.
I
They're also a ton of work and I know that, but it is what makes the difference because we need a lot of people to do small local actions.
I I wanted to, as you were talking, I'm very fortunate. The city that I live in, it's one of the better cities in Georgia because we have a lot of parks. They believe we have a lot of
That's
parks,
that's really nice.
and it's really nice. And it's because we have a Corps of Engineer. You know who that is? They create these lakes. One of the big lakes is here, and that was created, gosh, in late 40s, right?
Okay.
But it was created. I think I forgot which president it was, but so the farms land would not flood because of that was going on. We needed
There's a
water. Atlanta was growing
Yeah.
water, right? And that's kind of.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not in Atlanta, but I'm northwest of it. But then we chose this little city because I like the vibe and had these parks, and I could walk with my dogs or have my sons come along. But it's to me that's I'm glad. I also believe you got to be yourself, and that's what you're doing. You got to be not just be coerced into doing something else that you're not. I think
Yeah.
that is what real things living is about. It is being authentic, and you're definitely being authentic. And I think it makes me happy just listening to you talk, just because, like, wow, I understand where you're coming from, and then it's popping ideas into Bridget's head. And
Good.
that's what we want. And
That's the goal, right?
yes, is to have these kind of conversations. The other thing you had mentioned that sustainability means different things to everybody and all these different lists. What do you think the original or the root meaning of being sustainable is? I know that's a tough question, maybe.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, what is the root? Where did it come from? Right. And
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I mean, sustainable means something that can continue to move, right? Continue to be as it is and move forward and go forward as it is. So it's actually kind of a misnomer for what's possible today because if we sustain the way that we are going right now, we are going to run ourselves into the ground,
Right.
which is why the term sustainability gets a lot of flack in the like deep cut of this sector of the world right now. And regenerative is really coming forward where we need to actually regenerate and move to a place that we can actually continue to sustain. Where I think it originally came from was quite a long time ago. We've had a lot of folks, we've talked to a lot of folks in Dandelion I had one woman say, I am tired because I have been doing sustainability work for 50 years and it's never moved forward. There's more rhetoric now, but like
Yes.
we are still trying to prove that it is necessary. So I think like it started and it's rooted in the same grassroots place that it has to come from now, because all the people, the more you learn about the sustainability world, the more you learn that it's the small local groups and actions that make the biggest difference over time when we have many of them, that it is a many hands moving forward situation and not one that we just say, okay, this is sustainable now, we could just get the world and we can all just keep moving forward. And yeah, I don't think that's an answer to your question, but
That's really helpful. It's kind of philosophy in a way. I shouldn't say philosophy, but as you were talking, my mother-in-law, she was the environmental director for the state of Wisconsin, but it was part of the Department of Transportation. You know what I'm saying? Because they were building roads, so she had to be involved. She was a big environmentalist. I think that had an impact on me. And because the roads that were, we need roads, but at the same time, I won't go down that path. It's so,
but they're roads.
right. Where I live, it's this area is a huge logistics location.
Okay.
Because of all the
it's by Atlanta.
By Atlanta, because we have these 2 or 3 interstates. We have all this transportation come from the north and south, and it comes through Atlanta, and that bugs me. But that's why I lived in a little city and moved into a little city that has parks. But I just got to keep talking about it. But I just see, I don't know. We're so dependent on cars.
Yeah,
that's another subject.
That's a whole nother ball game, right? It's like
ball game.
To your point, like the environmental person within the transportation sector of a thing, like that is one issue that we see in sustainability everywhere, is that folks that are dedicated to it, they are an island and they are a professional and an expert in a subject. And then they have to be an expert in understanding the environmental and social implications of that subject. And then they have to turn that into a plan to make the changes. Then they have to get permits. The people who are sustainability or like ESG, environmental, social, and governance minded, have to be an expert in so many different
it's hard
things. It's very, very challenging. And then they end up being like an island in the work that they're doing. It's lonely making, it makes people tired. Then they have this really small impact, or they get, your mother-in-law probably got slapped by this permit and that permit. And she probably her job ended up being more of a constant fight or like a constant, issue where she's like, okay, well, this is a wetland and you can't build there.
Right.
You can build over here though, like a diversion more than an actual sustainability and ESG goal creation role.
Yeah, she was a woman too. I'm just that was but she was a great role model, and I think the state of Wisconsin, they're okay compared to some states, but she passed away, unfortunately. I don't know how many years ago, over a decade ago, but she was really positive. And I think we, on the younger generation like me, see how important it was. And I think that's why we need to just have these kind of conversations. This has really been fun. What platforms can people find you on, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, I'm easy to find. If you search Aub Wallace, I'm the only one that comes up. Dandelionbranding.com is our website if you're curious about marketing, branding. If you want to just talk about like, hey, I have this sustainability idea. You can also reach out to us to talk about on environmental if you're a business owner there. So I would say probably dandelionbranding.com is the best place to go. But you can find us on Instagram at dandelion_branding.
Okay.
Well, if
I
you like Instagram.
right. I think Instagram is fine. I love I don't scroll through it all the time, but I look at that. I don't look at Facebook anymore, just to be honest with you. I just
Facebook's tough. Facebook's real tough.
it's
And
changed.
it's really tough. It's changed. It's really tough for brands. If you're a brand owner and you're like, why doesn't my Facebook work? It's because it doesn't work unless you pay it to. And that can be really expensive for brands.
Exactly. That's
You
good.
asked earlier, what's the best platform? Email is the best platform.
Okay.
But
Yes.
barring email, I would say probably Instagram if you're B2C, and B2B would be LinkedIn. TikTok is okay if you are if you're an influencer or if you like are a thought leader.
Okay. This is really
Yeah.
helpful. And for those listening, I will put the links that she mentioned in the description part. And I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has been a lovely little call.
Thanks, guys.